What is going on, guys? We are back for another DSP video where DSP loses his mind once again, this time over Stellar Blade. He misses the whole point, his audience pushes back on him, and he yells at them. What a great, chill, positive time. He also played another Crab's Treasure. I'm sure that went swimmingly. And then he also played Helldivers 2. What could go wrong with that on the night stream? So we start off before the level 1 pre-stream. DSP in his chat. Good morning. Let's get this going. Where is everyone? We got DC, like the unpopular kid in class that invites all his friends to his birthday party and no one shows up. Just little Philly, the kid that licks doorknobs, and a party clown holding a passable balloon giraffe. Very successful business type adult. And of course, DSP had to say this as well in chat. LOL, of course today's big game news is a Stellar Blade censorship controversy. And then DSP, of course, had to say this. It's only a non-issue because I was right all along, LOL. We have Trigger Point. He unironically needs his ass beat. So DSP went on to the controversy about Stellar Blade being censored. Of course, the whole issue is that people hate things being censored. They said it wasn't going to be censored, now it's censored, and that's a whole revolt. But DSP thinks it's because they took the sexualization out of it. That people are only buying the games to jerk off to it. They're not real gamers, dude, in his words. He used this to justify his narrative and say he was right all along.
If people were actually interested in Stellar Blade because it was a good game with good gameplay mechanics, why would they be boycotting it now because of a minor censorship patch? The gameplay is exactly the same. The story is exactly the same. All the elements of playing it are exactly the fucking same. So why would you boycott it unless you were buying it for the sexual content? I rest my fucking case. I was right all along. These tons of fucking people were buying it for that content. They're upset now that the content is censored, and now they're gonna boycott it? So what were you buying the game for to begin with? Again, I'm not crapping on the game's gameplay elements at all from what I saw.
Now, I haven't played the game, but from what I've heard, a lot of the gameplay, a lot of the mechanics, pretty good. People enjoying it. And people are not necessarily boycotting or mad that the sexualization got taken out. Don't get me wrong, that's part of it. At the same time, they're mad because of the censorship itself. Because it's a slippery slope. When you start censoring stuff, and you say, this is not appropriate for the console. This is not appropriate for the platform. Where do you stop? One thing gets censored, and then they're on to the next. The next thing gets censored, next thing, and next thing, next thing. And it gets down to the point where you're paying money not to have a choice in what you get. But of course, ever since DSP's wife has been in the picture, his sex drive has just been killed. He cannot play, watch, or do anything with any video game that has a sexy woman in it. Because his wife will be jealous. I mean, look at all the times he's played as Cammy in Street Fighter. And I like the fact that he always says he can't play Stellar Blade because of how his audience would act. They're immature, even though you said they're 30 to 40-year-olds, and they're not children. Who were the bubbles for then, Phil? Who? And we have Poem's future. The truth is, Phil was never interested in Stellar Blade anyways. Instead, he will avoid it and use it to be upset about sex and pushes intellectual game journalist adjacent hate.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about Stellar Blade. Now, the entire discourse around Stellar Blade here on this channel in the last several months is very simple. Looks good. Meaning, gameplay elements sound good, right? The combat, the bosses, how you play it, all seems interesting. The problem is, the head of this game development team, the guy who's infamously known for doing over-the-top sexualized characters in his games, that's what he's known for. Like, that's his thing. That's his shtick. And because of that, people seek out his kind of games who like that kind of stuff. Now listen, I've played Tomb Raider, I've played Bayonetta, I've played Nier Automata. I've played games with sexualized characters before. It's really not that big of a deal. But in this case, with this game being hyper focused on the sexuality of the main character. Oh, she's based on a model, and look at all the jiggle physics we put into the game and all that absolutely ridiculous stuff. And also knowing my audience, all right? I know exactly how you guys are or tend to be. I mean, shit, I'll be playing a fighting game and you guys are making sexual comments about the characters in the fighting game. I'll be playing an RPG like Baldur's Gate 3 and people can't keep their mouths shut. So I know what would happen if I played a game like Stellar Blade. Although the gameplay may be interesting, which I'll be honest, it'll probably to me appeal just as much as the gameplay of Devil May Cry or Nier Automata, which is kind of like, meh, it's okay. I'm not.
Let's be honest, when he says his audience makes sexual comments during games, we all know who the main perpetrator of that is. DERICH, the Coon Master. And then there's also Slayer, who has made comments in the past about Cammy's feet or Yuri's feet or someone's feet. He's in the feet, that's all I'll say. And we have this from Yuno. Almost got sent to Ban World, but I want to post this on your video, and then he tags Duty Streams. And then you go on to say, they're not boycotting it because the lack of sexual content. They're boycotting it because fuck censorship, you dunce. Even if you're mad about the sexual content, who fucking cares if that's the reasoning? You sound more like a sexist when you oppress the female body for being sexualized. You probably have the mentality of a female is more likely to get sexually assaulted because she didn't cover up enough. Go fuck yourself, Nunnuck. You're such a jackass. I tend to forget you have authoritarian views and want to see massive censorship on the internet. You may want that so bad, but your whole shtick, your toilet humor, will be one of the first things to get abolished from the web. Your whole legacy gone like that in an instant. Because you're a talentless hack who can only make jokes about dicks and shit. So shut your mouth, Mr. 4-inch PP burn in hell Burnell. And then also one of the bigger stories out there as well is the Escape from Tarkov with their $250 pay to win scheme. And people are losing their minds over it. They have a lot of bad press at the moment. So someone brings this up as why he didn't cover this. And then says that Escape from Tarkov is not a big game and nobody really knows about it. We got Kramer II. If Phil isn't interested in Escape from Tarkov, then nobody cares about it in his gout-ridden brain. This $250 pay to win is a big deal. I don't play the game, but a shitload of people do. This Escape from Tarkov thing is a big problem. You narcissistic, insufferable jerk.
Tarkov has released a $250 pay-to-win DLC breaking promise. I don't know the full details, but people are pissed. Okay, who cares about Tarkov? You see the difference between... There's a news story about a brand new game that just came out. It's the talk of the town because it's the new game. Versus fucking Escape from Tarkov, a game that's been out for like 5 years and has a DLC pack that's only for fans of that game. Who cares? You see the difference between the two stories? One is a mainstream story covering a hot new game that everyone's talking about. The other one is a small group of niche players that only care about the game. Like, they're not even equivalent. Did you say, why didn't you cover the Tarkov story? Because it's not a mainstream story. That's a story. That's like, you might as well tell me I need to cover the story about Gary's Mod. Yeah, Gary's Mod is being forced to remove all Nintendo content. After 20 years of Gary's Mod existing, Nintendo finally hit them with a takedown and they have to remove all Nintendo content. Who cares? It's fucking Gary's Mod, dude. It's a fucking niche thing. It's not a mainstream news story. That's why I don't talk about it on the show. Nobody cares. You know? If you're the biggest fan of Tarkov, you probably care about that. I don't. If you, oh my God, Gary's Mod. I've always cared about Gary's Mod. I mean, that's nothing that anyone in my audience is really going to care about. That's why I don't cover those kind of niche stories, you know?
And of course, the real reason he doesn't bring it up is because he wants to be able to say about Stellar Blade, I was right, see, you're all wrong, to try and justify his narrative on the game because his wife won't let him play it. And then we have this from Darkseid of Flow. Who cares about Tarkov? Stellar Blade is the talk of the town. Tarkov is a small group of niche players. Tarkov is not a mainstream story. You see the difference, by the way? The two stories? Then why did Asmongold's Tarkov video do better than his Stellar Blade video, Phil? And we see, well, this is officially a scam. Talking about Tarkov, 500k views in 10 hours. Why Stellar Blade did what they did? 450k in 20 hours. Then we have poems. At the start of the Stellar Blade rant, he calls what happened censorship on Sony's behalf. Yeah, he was saying how Sony forced them to change it, and the studio didn't want to do it. At the end of a rant, he calls it a design choice and not censorship. This is why it's hard to take anything he says seriously. He argues in parts, and often these parts are never correct. Yeah, because what he does is he looks at Twitter, sees the headline, doesn't read the article, and then sees what people are saying about it, and then that's his narrative. Poems. You know what makes me take someone seriously is when they are trying to tell me what's wrong with the world today. When they randomly look away and go fishing for treaties while still talking to me, and you see Phil digging for gold in his ear. Then people started pushing back on him. And of course, if anyone's been watching DSP for 5 minutes at least, you know when people tell him he's wrong or try to give him criticism or try to argue or debate him, you're a fucking moron, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the king, I'm the one you listen to, you don't talk back to me. And his audience started talking back, so you know what that means.
I received a $1 tip. Wrong. So this person's completely wrong, but fine. Phil, the sexualization of the main character in Stellar Blade has nothing to do with the controversy or the boycott. It's about a giant corporation forcing a game dev to alter their product in a way that they never intended in order to remain on the platform. This doesn't prove you're right about anything. Wrong. Wrong. Because here's the thing. Day one patches happen on every single fucking game. Every single fucking game has a day one patch. The thing is, typically day one patches are done for things like bug fixes or little last minute tweaks. Visual changes like this happen all the time in video games. All the time. Why is this the only time that it's a thing of contention that caused this boycott or controversy? Why? Because people cared about the sexual content of the game. That's why. Literally. That's why. If it was just a little tweak here or a little tweak there and it didn't affect the thing that everyone was wanting, they wouldn't care. But because it affected the sexual content, boom, it's a big deal. You're absolutely, positively wrong. But thank you for the $1 tip.
Then DSP went on to talk about how people need to do a class action lawsuit against Sony or the company that makes Stellar Blade. And it's quite hilarious. Every time there's a problem or an issue, DSP's response is, do a lawsuit, sue them. You can tell where his mind frame is always at. Money, 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 money. You got kind of sad. DSP says there should be a class action lawsuit because of an apparent lack of titty in Stellar Blade. We're in the Twilight Zone, dudes. He started that whole conversation off talking about the over-sexualization of the game and the character, and then yelled at them for censoring the sexualization of the character in the game. Poems. In typical DSP fashion, the discussion part of what he had to say on Stellar Blade is just him ignoring everything people say and repeating how he is right. And then his chat, again, pushing back. Kramer II. Phil's chat isn't responding well to another of Phil's rant about a woman's sexualization in Stellar Blade. All because Phil's sex drive had flatlined years ago. We have Monty Mole. This isn't enjoyable. We have the Friendly Gremlin. I've seen a lot of positivity around Stellar Blade. I think Phil is just biased in what posts he wants to see and focus on. Monty Mole. Seems like chat disagreed. Friendly Gremlin. At DSP Gaming, this whole segment I disagree with. We got Pack of Jojo. Missing the bigger story just to bash Stellar Blade. Then DSP has a new rule. So you now can get timed out in DSP's chat for mentioning OIC and Kirk. And then he went on to play another Crab's Treasure, which is a cartoon version of Dark Souls. And we have some quotes and some updates on it. So I put this out. DSP at the start of gameplay. I hate how wonky the dodges in this game. It's just like Dark Souls. DSP at the end of gameplay. I like the dodging in this game. It's better than Dark Souls. And then DSP was having trouble with the enemies, and he kept calling every single regular enemy bosses. And then he went up against his first boss, and it did not go very well. He got around 40 plus deaths on the first boss. Complaining the whole time about animations and not being able to cancel it. He was also trying to block without a shell or a shield. Then He got so angry, he said that he might rage quit on the first boss. He said he doesn't want to play this if it plays like Dark Souls. And then the anger started coming out. DSP is now complaining that Another Crab's Treasure, which is a parody of From Software games, plays like a From Software game. Yeah, he started attacking the devs, saying they're fucking idiots. This bullshit, shouldn't play like this, they should improve. Now of course, day one for Another Crab, and yet another premiere with low support. And today, we got an unrecorded bag.
Whew. Alright guys, if you're having a good time, of course, please consider supporting the stream today. Whether that be a super chat, a membership, gifted membership, or tip, they're all appreciated. Thanks everyone for re-upping your memberships. We don't have any new ones today, but a lot of re-ups. And currently at $66 in tips, so we're 2/3 of the way to a hat goal at $100. It would be great if we could hit that today as well. Okay? Alright.
Then the bag kinda worked. He got $12 from Anonymous, thanking him for playing the Yakuza games. Wow, they're really engaged in this crab game, Phil. Then he got $25 from 1 Minute Man, not 1 Minute Man, 1 Minute Man, saying he wants to contribute and saying he is a tiny boy and wants to help out. And with that, DSP hit the hat goal. And then people asked him to put on the fishing hat, and he said, "Oh sure, yeah, I'll do that, but I have to take the lures off. So if you guys want me to wear the fishing hat, I'll do it. I'll put it in the rotation Tuesday if we make the goal." Now, why are the lures still on there, Phil? So you're telling me you have a hat that's hanging on the wall with lures that you say are dangerous, and you just leave it there? What about Jasper, Phil? And Chisel here. DSP says he can't wear the fishing hat now because it's dangerous and he almost got hurt from one of the lures. How the fuck would you know a lure almost stabbed you in the top of your head? Either it did or it didn't. Then we have Meth Bear. That crab game was very robust. Crab boss telegraphs instant death grab with left claw multiple times. He rolls into the left claw each time. I roll! I can't dodge it! Never learned, Philippe. So that ended the pre-stream and the gameplay stream. Pre-stream he got $66, with $45 coming from Anonymous, and $15 come from Rocky. Spoiler, they're both OIC. And then he played the crab game, where he got $37 with only 2 tips coming in, $25 from 1 Minute Man, not 1 Minute Man, and $12 from Anonymous. Man, Anonymous sure has been picking up the slack since 1 Minute Man left. And then, the night stream, he decided to play Helldivers 2, the very first ever, in his words, night stream Helldivers stream. So how did we start off the night? DSP decided to run a poll to see which enemies he's going to fight, bots or bugs. Riveting content, Phil. And then there was nothing going on, it was boring as hell. And In and Outer Place points this out. DSP was complaining about low attendance for Helldivers as a late stream. It had around 300 viewers. Other than Street Fighter 6, that's about normal for his evening streams. Helldivers as a day stream normally gets around 350. What he means is he didn't get the money he wanted. I think you have to keep in mind, RTU was back streaming after his controversy, which I'm going to make a video on my other channel, about his Dropbox being hacked and having pics of other people's kids inside there. He was addressing the rumors, and in his stream, he had Timbo, Gothic Senpai, and BB Phil all donating to him. Guys, you don't cheat on Phil like that, dudes. He's gonna be very mad at you. Don't you know Phil needs the money? He's got bills to pay. His internet bill, his electric bill. Then we have Gout Gout, who talks about the daily wrap. Decided to check out the daily wrap to see what I missed today. 1/3 of this was about support. It probably would have been more, but he was complaining about combat in Another Crab's Treasure. I slowed down his flare arms during the video too. What the fuck? Back to hiding for a day.
So far, I really like the game. The audience seemed to be split, and here's what I mean. For those who like the Soulsborne style gameplay and combat, they were like, oh, I get it. It makes sense. It's kind of neat in that way. But because the game is cartoony, because the game is drawn in a cutesy manner, I think a lot of people are like, that's again, I don't know how I like how it looks. It's not gothic, it's not gory, it's not dark like FromSoft, right? So they're having a hard time swallowing it just because of the visuals. It's not the gameplay mechanics, it's totally the visuals that are making people have a hard time accept this game. Personally, The visuals don't bother me at all. I'm actually finding them neat and refreshing. But for me, it's a little bit of the wonkiness of the game that's making it a little bit more annoying than I would like. But I still like it. And after the first stream, I am gung-ho to play more of it later this week. Unlike Harold Halibut, where everyone was like, oh, no, don't do it. In this case, I definitely want to keep going and see where the game goes. So we're going to do another stream of it on Tuesday. Okay, Helldivers 2. And I was curious, after having Helldivers 2 be a daytime stream for the last 3-4 weeks, since I started playing it in early April, how it would perform. You want me to be honest? Not very well. Way less viewers, probably about over 100 less viewers than when I play it on a day stream. Engagement at some points was great, and at other points was dead, like no one was talking. I'm like, what's going on? I'm playing the game. There's action on the screen. Why are you, kind of nodding off? And support was terrible, all right? Like, no exaggeration, I didn't even make like 20 bucks on the stream. Now, is that a horrible end of the world thing? Absolutely not. And I'm not giving up on Helldivers 2 because of one slow night. This has happened with other games, and then it picks up. But it is disheartening that basically what I'm seeing is that all these games are kind of competing for the mainstream slot, and a lot of them do much better in the mainstream slot, like Helldivers, but I just can't have every game during the day. I can't. There have to be games that are played during the prime hours, and then the games that are played at night, and I can't really do much about that. I can't clone myself and stream twice at the same time of day. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. And I think if you're doing multiplayer games, it makes more sense for multiplayer to be on the night streams, because those can be shortened streams, as opposed to if I'm playing a new game like Another Crab's Treasure or Fallout 4 that's narrative based, and you want to make a good chunk of progress every time you play it, you want those to be daytime streams, right? So yeah, I'm really not sure what to do about Helldivers 2. I like the game. I want to keep playing it. In fact, tonight, so I wish more people were on the stream, because I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this was the best match of Helldivers I've ever done. And half the audience was there to see it. So I hope people will check out the on-demand videos, and I hope that if people can make it to these streams in the future, they will. I am disappointed because not only was it the best, Helldivers I've ever done, but, I want to keep this game alive. I like it in the rotation. It just didn't work well as a late stream for whatever reason. I don't know what to do about that. Basically, the whole team was dead, and I had to survive by myself. And then I started getting the reinforcements back, and then they died again. I was like, oh my god.
We have In and Outer Place, the order of videos displayed on DSP Gaming yesterday. ANC Part 3, ANC Part 2, Podcast, ANC Part 1, Daily Wrap, Helldivers 17, Helldivers 18. Just set them to appear 30 minutes later, Phil. Even if people are watching, it takes them an hour to watch Part 1. And the whole thing with Phil is he thinks as soon as he publishes it, people are going to storm the channel and start watching them. You get like 100 to 200 views a day, Phil, per video. When he goes to upload it, he sets it to public, so as soon as it's done, it publishes it. You can put it to private, schedule them out, so that way they're uploaded in correct order. So then we get to the end of the night. Pre-stream, $66, with 45 coming from Anonymous, 15 from Rocky. Crab, $37, 25 coming from 1 Minute Man. Not 1 Minute Man, $12 from Anonymous, and then Helldivers brought in $11, with $5 from Dan the Dent. So he made $114 in tips today. If he would have worked an 8-hour minimum wage shift, it would have been $160. So today's difference in tips was a loss of $46 versus a minimum wage job. And look at that, Helldivers, $11 total. $5 from Dan the Man, and $8 in super chats. 69 thumbs up, 128 thumbs down, 314 viewers. A Gamerface Gaming puts this out. He could have made 500 plus today, but he is married and nothing he could do. But he was right all along. He will tell you why on his Uno podcast. So if you guys like that, click that like, share the video, leave a comment below, hit subscribe to my other channels on the details of the end cards. And as always, I hope you're all safe, healthy, and happy. I love each and every one of you. Peace and love.